Did you all do the quiz? Quiz 2, I mean.
No, doctor, I don't do. Today, inshallah, my makeup quiz.
طيب. What's your name? نورة؟
I'm Nura Karim.
طيب يا نورة انتي you don't have to attend today يا بابا. ممكن تروحي عشان تلحقي. انتي عارفة انه الكويز في الجامعة صح؟
أيوة يا دكتور.
طيب عشان ما تتعبيش نفسك. طيب ما احنا we can excuse you. What do you think؟
مرة شكرا دكتور، الله
يلا
يسعدك.
يلا ولا يهمك.
يعطيك العافية.
انتي فرع ايه؟
الرياض.
وبعيدة الجامعة عن البيت؟
والله ساعة وربع بالضبط.
طيب اتفضلي اتفضلي. على
شكرا
مهلك.
شكرا.
يلا مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.
حد تاني؟ احنا we have a makeup quiz at 12 يا جماعة. فif you're excused if you have like a makeup go وما فيش مشكلة خالص. So if you have done quiz 2 raise your hands. Those who have done quiz 2. How about the rest? Well, the rest are not there. طيب. طيب. This is a limited time offer. We have a makeup at 12 p.m. If you haven't, you can always excuse yourself and go and do the quiz at the university, of course. Okay, طيب. Kindly drop your hands, those who did the quiz. Okay, so how did you find the quiz? And did you do the quiz, the second quiz? Right. So again, I'm asking about the second quiz. What are your impressions about it? Was it good? Was it difficult? What? Remember, you have 2 questions and you have the choice, right? It's either the first or the second question. So how did you find the experience? I mean, doing quiz 2.
It was okay-ish.
Okay. It wasn't okay. It was okay-ish, yani, which is extra okay or something.
No, but it could, like, the questions are clear, but at the same time, they ask you to address a lot of ideas. And I'm not sure how to answer that, but it simply asks you to answer a lot of things in like very little, or like in how do I say that?
You mean the time was not enough?
No, the time is understandable, but the ideas are a lot, and you have to kind of pay attention on what are the things that you should answer.
Other people's impressions about the questions. Are we talking about the 2 questions, Hind, or only one? Because obviously you're supposed to answer only one.
Both of them, but yes, I did answer one of them.
Okay. So do you still remember the what the question was about?
I think one of them was asking about in Tom's Midnight Garden, about the traditional gender roles. And the second one was, I think, addressing the themes, specifically the theme of loss and change, and I think growth and something else. I
This
can't
is
fully recall.
this is the comprehensive question that you're talking about. You have to cover lots of things, right?
Yes, and I think I feel the same sentiment with the first one as well, in a way.
Well, I don't quite agree because you're going to limit your discussion to the roles and the gender roles. And obviously, if we're talking about gender roles, we're saying that there is something untraditional about it, unconventional about it. And, perhaps we're talking about Hattie and how different she is. Remember when we said that Hattie and Tom compete for first place, who should be
Being
perhaps
the protagonist.
yes, given the fact that you cannot take Hattie off and everything is all right. It's her memories, it's her traumatic experiences that provide the material that the whole novel, you know, revolve around. So her role is not very traditional, obviously. Traditional roles are those roles of the sisters of Peter, for example, in the Tale of Peter Rabbit, where they are non-assertive, they are non-consequential, right? But Hattie is different. She introduces even the themes of the novel, I mean, connection and uh, the idea of play, the idea of um, shared feelings of loss and isolation and loneliness, right? So these are things that you wouldn't have seen if Hattie was just another Tom, another male character. By the way, Tom has a brother, but obviously his brother was not as, um, I mean, as a dramatic tool, he wasn't as effective. He wasn't as prominent and as important, right? Uh, okay. What else can we talk about when it comes to the second quiz? Do we have other people sharing what they felt about the quiz? You felt nothing? Good, bad, ugly? طيب. احنا we're done with all the works that we're supposed to do over the space of 4 months. I know it's not 4 months yet. Still have time. So what we plan to do for the upcoming period is to have a series of revision classes in which we're going to cover everything. And I think we still have time. Of course, the final exam schedule is out, and I'm sure some of you may have, downloaded the schedule. So I would like you, first of all, to share with me when the exam is, in terms of day, and then also in terms of date and timing. And let's build a series of revision classes around this time. So according to Joyce, it's what? 11th? Let me check. Yeah, it's May 11th. May 11th leaves us with how many days? 20 days, right? Yeah, Gama, you're not
Nearly
responsive at
3 weeks.
all. Yeah. I think 3 weeks is a lot. we can do a lot of things, given the fact that we meet twice. We meet here and we also meet in the master class day. Um, am I going to revisit every single thing? Now, this is obviously a physical impossibility given the fact that, yeah, 3 weeks is good and everything, but it's not 3 months, right? So we need to kind of start some kind of division of labor where you do part of the stuff and I also do the other part. You read the material very well. You come and perhaps present. You read the articles and come and bring insights and ask questions. And I'll be, yeah, I'll respond and I'll perhaps add extra layers of meaning and let's engage in conversation about what we have been doing. So I don't want it to go one way. Let's make it bi-directional. You say things and I respond, I say things and you react. Okay, everyone?
Sure.
Yeah, and the first step would be for me to hear you speak. Like, no, today, I don't know, for some reason you are silent. I can understand you. You're coming out of quizzes and midterms, and perhaps you're overwhelmed with your 4 credit hour training course. Um, so I can
Yeah,
understand, but
doctor,
I
why
want you.
why are you calling me out like that?
No, no, not you. No, 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 we haven't. No, lots of people. No, lots of people are like
Yes,
like
I'm
you.
joking.
Yeah, prioritizing a 4 credit hour over an 8 credit hour course. Not you. Not. No, I'm not singling you out here. And yeah, I mean, um, but let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's engage in conversations about the same. Write if you would like to write things, and we can also talk about it in the whether here or in the master class. Type. So today is going to be our first leg on this journey, revision journey, and obviously we're going to start from the very beginning. We're going to start with the two picture books and then make the transition to the novels. Um, Again, I think I have recordings of everything, and one way of perhaps preparing for the final would be for you to go and visit those recordings. Um, and if it suits you, you can turn those recordings into podcasts and you can listen to them kind of very lazily while you're driving or um, and I encourage you to do the same with the other recordings of the other classes. I told you last time about this very beautiful, it's not an application, it's part of Google um, extension, if they call it extension. It's called Notes KM or something in this neighborhood. I think I showed you how I do it, how I use it myself. Remember that?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, doctor.
It's a very beautiful revision tool. It's a very beautiful studying tool. But do this with if this is the only course that you have, do it with the recordings that I have, and you know where you can locate them. If you have other courses and if you have recordings of them, you can also use it with them. Again, it's going to be give you very beautiful insights. It's very deep, and again, the podcasts are very beautiful and like no other.
Doctor,
So with this, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to ask, how do you think we did with the quiz?
Well, I am still waiting. Yani, I don't want to kind of mark it on the screen because I receive it scanned, and a couple of days after that, I receive it as hard copies from the different branches. But I have received most of it now, and I have it in front of me. So I'm going to work on it, yani as of today. But I'll give you uh, the marks possibly, and what I think of it on Thursday when we meet during inshallah al master class. Does this answer your question, Han?
Yes,
Very
hopefully.
disappointing. I know.
No,
I know
I know it
I'm very
takes time, so
disappointing today.
no, I'm pretty sure it takes a lot of time, so I know, you know, this is how the circumstances went.
That inshallah will finish. Yani if we set a deadline when I will release them, which is going to be Thursday, inshallah, I'll try to keep my promise. Right. Now let's start the revision. Noor is saying something. Let me check. Is there any mandatory question? Yes. I think, and I'll have to go back to my notes, but I still remember. Yeah, yeah. Normally you have uh, the second part where the essays are, the long essays are. The one of them is mandatory. I mean, the whole section is mandatory. So you can have two questions that you have to answer one of them, and you have two questions in the second um, section in the long answer questions. So you have to choose one from the first. And sometimes people do it. They go to the second part of the second part question and they answer the two questions and leave the mandatory part. This is طبعا not acceptable. So you need to watch out for the word mandatory because it's normally there. And the mandatory part is normally a choice between a close reading question and a prompt-based question. So you need to be on the lookout about those. Again, you can be writing very beautiful things, but it's wrong-headed because you're leaving out the mandatory question altogether and you're doing other questions. So you have two questions where you should be writing only one. So you're under the impression that you have fulfilled all the requirements when in actual fact you have answered one question, only one question in the long essay part when you needed to. It is true that you have written two, but you haven't touched the mandatory question, which leaves you with only one answer. So hopefully we can have like a past paper where I can show you how to look out, to be on the lookout about those mandatory things. It's clear, and sometimes people do it on purpose, but they have, or they only have themselves to blame, because we know that like when you have people writing more than is needed in terms of questions, we ask you to write three, to attempt three questions, and you write four or five. طبعا this is a sheer waste of time, and doesn't get you anywhere. And I don't choose the best answers for you. I go chronologically. Question one, question two, question three. How about four and five? If they are not required, I don't read them. Are you getting this? So if we ask you to answer only three questions, for example, you answer only three. You don't answer four or five, and then you are testing me. You want me to choose the best answer for you. No, it doesn't go this way. It can be even very upsetting because you leave me with a sense of guilt. Okay, I leave the paper and then I come back and say, what should I do with this? Her her question number 5 or 6 is better than her question number 2 or 3. So keep to the number of required questions and invest time on them, and instead of like scattering your energy and wasting it on so many things, and you end up not doing well on either. Okay. Right. Speaking of the final exam, in terms of content, everything is with us, which means we leave nothing. The final exam is comprehensive in the sense that it covers all the aspects of the syllabus, the 2 picture books and the 2 novels. Of course, while doing that, you read the articles, you read the secondary sources. In terms of format, you normally have 2 sections or 2 parts. The first part is what we call the short answer part, where we give you 3 questions, I think, and you answer 2, and then you move on to the long answer part, where we give you 3 questions and we ask you to choose 2 long essays. So you write, unlike the MTA, when you wrote only 1 long essay, you will have to write 2 long essays in the final exam. Right? You're familiar with that. Again, what do we need in the final exam in terms of content? We need comprehensiveness, we need relevance, and we need clarity. At this point in time, there is no such thing as I don't know. You know. Of course, you know that you know. Those past 3 months were not for nothing. We've exerted efforts, you and me, and I think you have enough information and knowledge that can move you forward. So it's 50 marks that we're targeting, and 50 marks is big. You still have a chance to, if your GPA is not as good as you think it should be, you still have 50 marks. You need to be comprehensive. Comprehensive means that you have to cover all the aspects of the question, which means that you have to invest the right amount of time reading the question, underlining the key words and the key concepts, and then you expand on them in a coherent manner. Please keep in mind that it's not about the knowledge, or it's not or it's not only about the knowledge, it is also about how you manipulate this knowledge so that you can come up with a decent, coherent essay. So comprehensiveness is very important, covering all the different aspects of the question. Clarity is very important, and clarity means that you don't contradict yourself. You don't just write for the sake of writing, filling out the pages, assuming and under the wrong impression that the more you write, the more marks you will get. No, it's not about that. It's about writing sensibly. It's about writing um, relevantly, because relevance is very important. This is the third principle or parameter under and within which we set your paper against. We are all for clarity, relevance, and comprehensiveness. طيب. With this out of the way, let's now focus on the first two picture books. So how much do we remember about them? Let's perhaps be more specific and talk about the Tale of Peter Rabbit. So come to the mic and tell me what you still remember about this picture book. Perhaps you need a minute to think. You put your ideas together and then come to the mic and tell me what you still remember. We'll give you a minute for that. Minute. I'm giving you a minute. If you're ready, please raise your hands. Okay. Only two people. How about the rest? Okay. Munira.
Hello, Doctor.
Yeah,
Doctor,
hello.
of the theme of Peter Rabbit about his disobedience for his mother and how the picture can explain more than the words. It's about the disobedience, about Peter Rabbit and in the story how he disobeyed, how he goes inside the garden, and all the things that can happen.
Right. Yeah, yeah, that's nice. We'll do something else. I'll give you a couple of minutes, and I need you to have a paper handy, and I would like you to kind of scribble, to write down notes. Try to brainstorm, to think of all the ideas that your mind can give you, as far as when we drop the title, um, The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Give you a couple of minutes, and on a piece of paper, write all what your mind can retrieve. Look at them and then put them together and come back to me in 2 minutes. How about that? Couple of minutes, write down what you still remember about, all that you remember about the tale of Peter Rabbit. This is for 2 minutes, okay? And then a third minute for coherence, where you put this material, the ideas that you have retrieved, into coherent patterns, and then come back and tell me about them. So you have 3 minutes from now. Ready? Okay, raise your hand if you're ready. So, mm. So how much do we know about the tale of Peter Rabbit? Okay, Joyce.
Yeah, doctor, good morning. Sorry, I wasn't
Very
able
good
to
morning.
unmute before.
That's fine.
Okay, doctor. Other than the plot, which all of us already know,
Yeah.
okay, we have several themes that Beatrix Potter tried to explore within the tale itself. One of them is like obedience versus disobedience, especially in the Victorian values, how they valued actually, listening to the elders or listening to authority, and what.
Conformity.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And how actually Peter disobeyed his mom's orders and he suffered the consequences when he entered the garden and had this encounter that almost
Killed him.
resulted in his death. So, yeah, we have the disobedience and how also Potter tried to justify the mom's actions at the end, how she dealt with this disobedience. Like some people thought about giving him the chamomile tea was enough as a punishment, while others think that she didn't actually like punish him in the right way. So this also gives us an idea about how Potter actually what do you call it like
Do you
like
think do you think that she stood on the fence? She
yes, yes.
was, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like we didn't know is she actually with it or against it, and maybe what he suffered in the garden was enough as a punishment for him. And others think that it's okay, he's a boy after all. What it's normal, especially from a child, to disobey his parents.
Are we sure that she is all for the fact that he should have conformed, that he should have obeyed, and she doesn't accept? Do we know for sure that she is
No,
against the act?
no, 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 no. It
Mm-hmm.
was ambiguous, to be honest. We don't know is she with it or against it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm. But perhaps you're focusing more on the end, about the symbolism of the chamomile tea, whether it is medicine or a punishment, right?
Yes, yes,
Mm.
definitely.
Mhm. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, Joyce, thank you. Other people, other themes, and other ideas. Yeah, go ahead. Is it Munira? Yeah, go ahead.
And also for the picture, the way she's positioning the reader, how to share the viewpoint of Peter Pan, the main protagonist of the story, by making him with the name very close and making Mr. McGregor very far from the
Mm.
picture.
You're obviously referring to the pictures themselves and how important they are in clarifying things. So we said that the words, the text can stay silent on a number of things, and you need to go all the way to the images so that you can have the full picture, you can understand, and, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very important aspect of it. Remember, this is a picture book, not a book. A picture book means that the pictures amount to much. Pictures are very important. They reveal a lot. They close the gaps that the text has. They are sometimes more important. They can tell you more than the word, right? And again, in order to kind of communicate those different feelings and those different situations, you have, the people and the characters, sometimes enlarged, sometimes they are made small, sometimes they are in on the margin, sometimes they are in the center, and this is they were all meant to kind of deliver certain messages that we spoke about those messages. Um, yeah, that's correct. That's right. Thank you, Munira. Other people? Do you still remember the questions that we had on the MTA? And I mean, as far as the Telopita rabbit is concerned, do you still remember the questions? I'm
One of
saying
them
this
was
because,
about the
yeah.
nature and how his journey throughout the garden was like, I think, like a symbol for his growth and how he dealt with it. That was a question.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, I think that was the only thing about Peter Rabbit, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm asking this question because obviously you will not have a repeat of that in the final exam. So excluding a question like this can save us energy and time, of course. But of course, they are all interconnected. I mean, and obviously, when you write, you choose your own illustrations, you choose your own examples, um, because it's like a unified whole. You cannot take apart and leave the others. It depends on your perspective and it depends on how you see things. Um, Again, when we talk about the tail of Peter Rabbit, we also talk about women and how they are perceived and presented. We talk about the three sisters and how they are portrayed. We talk about the mother. Yeah, Noor, you're saying something. Would you like to come to the mic?
You hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my mic had, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Potter's use of anthropomorphism.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Peter,
yeah, expand on this idea, yeah, Noor.
yeah, Peter was humanized. He was giving like childhood curiosity plus the blue jacket, just like any normal boy he was wearing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, anthropomorphism is there, yes, in the picture book. And can you define what anthropomorphism is, yeah, Noor?
It's giving, if I'm not mistaken, it's giving human characteristics to non-humans or to animals
Yeah,
specific.
yeah, that happens, of course, with the Little Peter Rabbit and also with Voices in the Park, where you have animals given human qualities and attributes, and obviously for good reasons, right? And we said that the practice goes all the way back to Aesop, the Greek fabulist, who he used to write fables, and fables are stories where animals feature prominently, and there is a moral lesson at the end. And we said when we talk about anthropomorphism, say that it does exist in Arabic and Muslim literature. I still remember very vividly Mantaq al-Tayr, which is Persian. It's a very long poem, a very beautiful one, where you also have animals. We still have Ibn al-Muqaffa, Kalila, and Dimna, a very beautiful one. And I'm sure if we dig deep into Arabic literature, we can find more. Again, it's a universal practice, and it is there in the tale of Peter Rabbit, where, of course, all the characters are rabbits, and yeah, not all of them, of course, animals, except for the fact that we have um, a human being who is presented as being an aggressor, a colonizer, you name it. And then you have different roles that those animals are playing. Sometimes you have assertive, adventurous roles like those of Peter. Sometimes you have non-assertive roles like those of Peter's sisters. Again, gender roles features very prominently in the picture book, where obviously we or the writer subscribes to those traditional gender roles, except for the mother, because she's given authority. She and obviously because her husband is not there. Other than that, all the other characters are keeping to their traditional gender roles. You have Peter presented as adventurous, as assertive, as wanting to know, wanting to kind of go out and discover and explore the world. Then you have the sisters confined to their rooms and to their house or tree, and they don't want to venture out of their comfort zones. They obey their mother. They don't react. We haven't heard of them. Uh, we only know about them as a collective, as a group of girls who obey or who do their mother's bidding. Whatever she says, they follow and obey. So gender roles are, for the most part, typical and traditional. Again, there is always this idea of where do we stand when it comes to the character of Peter? Is he a curious child, or is he a rebellious individual? Is he revolutionary, to use modern day terms, or is he just another curious child? And of course, childhood is about curiosity. Again, lots of people debate that, and then you have two sides to this kind of debate. Where do you stand with that? Do you think he's just another curious child and nothing else? Or do you think he is more than just that? He's very symbolic. He refers to, or he is obviously an indirect reference to people and reformers who try to set things right, go about risking themselves, putting themselves in harm's way to perhaps defend humanity, to kind of um, um, do what rectify injustices and all those kinds. So where do you stand with that? How do you perceive Peter? How do you see him? Hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, doctor. Concerning Peter, he can be considered as like a symbol of the colonized subjects when it comes to the theme of colonialism, especially someone who challenged the strict rules and especially the boundaries, like the garden. It's fenced by Mr. McGregor. It's a garden. It's part of nature, so it has to be for the rabbits, not for or for the animals, not for humans who decided to claim this piece of land. Just like it's symbolism for the colonial authority and how they come and take lands, and they just set boundaries and put strict rules and ask people or the colonized to follow these rules. So we can consider Peter as a colonized subject who challenged these stuff, and he wanted to show him like, this is our land, we're gonna take it back, kind of thing.
So it's getting very political here, where obviously Peter is a freedom fighter, if you like.
Yep.
He and his ilk are being colonized. Their lands are being taken, and they have to fight back. And this is exactly what Peter does, right? Do you guys share the sentiment? Other people subscribing to this theory, this idea? So if you're not subscribing to this idea, it means that you believe that he is just another curious child. Can somebody come to the mic and share this with us? Elaborate on this idea of him being a curious child, and children are like this, even if it means risking their own lives, they do it all the same. What do you think of this interpretation? Mm. Right. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Manira, yes.
Yes, I think most of the children, this one, they follow them curiosity in order for them to learn and grow and earn experience.
Okay. That's
Yes.
interesting. Yeah. Okay. طيب, we'll stop on this note and we'll take a 10-minute break, and then when we come back, we can, inshallah, continue. So I'll see you in 10 minutes, inshallah. Okay? Okay?
Sure, doctor.
Okay,
Okay. So I'll see you in 10 minutes, inshallah. Guys, we're back. So, so
Yes, doctor.
yeah, are we all here? Raise your hands, everyone, if you're here, of course. Nice. Okay, so before the break, it was all about um, the tale of Peter Rabbit and the different interpretations of the. Obviously, there is more to this picture book than just whatever meets the eye. It's very profound, very philosophical, and it depends on what you bring to the conversation. You can deal with it the way a non-discerning child deals with it, and you can give it like more depth and more profundity and talk about issues as big as colonization um, and rebellion. So it depends on what you know and what you want to bring to the conversation, of course. And all is valid, provided that you back up your contentions with examples and perhaps scholarly material from the literature. So the sky is obviously the limit when it comes to interpreting literature. And the Tale of Peter Rabbit happens to be literature. Make no mistake about it. Before the break, we also spoke about gender roles and whether those gender roles are typical or non-conventional, and we agreed on the fact that they are, for the most part, typical, with Peter presented as the typical boy of children's literature who goes out in the world, venturing into new territory, exploring whatever is around him. And on the way, he gets hardened by the realities of life, so that when we see him again, he is changed, he is more mature beyond his age, he is more knowledgeable about the ways of the world. And this is typical of Peter. This is typical of uh, perhaps Charles in Voices in the Park. This is typical of Tom in Tom's Midnight God. Perhaps the only exception would be that in the other side of truth, we have a female protagonist, a declared female protagonist, if you like. So the tale of Peter Rabbit and the polarization and disagreement that we have among critics over um, who we consider Peter. Is he rebellious and is representing rebels always and everywhere, fighting for a noble and a good cause? Or is he just another curious child we were all, or we have been all there as children, whether we are men or women. We have those childhood moments where we're experimenting with everything, testing hypotheses, if you like, checking, exploring, and sometimes it's, um, I mean, the consequences are not what we intend them to be. Sometimes you have unintended consequences, harming yourself, hurting in the process. So this is a question that has been there. Who is Peter and what he stands for? Again, when we talk about the tale of Peter Rabbit and when we talk about voices in the park, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that these are picture books primarily, not books. When we talk about books, we talk about the verbal aspects of things, the words. We turn into phrases, and phrases turn into sentences, and then you have whole paragraphs and a whole book. So with picture books, you together with the pictures, together with the text and the verbal aspects, you also have images and pictures, who or which, I'm sorry, are as important. Again, said that on many occasions the text stays silent on this or that aspect, and you will, in order for you to kind of figure out certain meanings, and in order to kind of unlock certain messages and crack certain codes, you have to go to the picture and unpack the picture. This happened with us when the tale of Peter Rabbit, and it also happened with us. Voices in the park, the different colors, the different, and of course, when we talk about colors, we talk about their symbolism, the different fonts, the paratextual information that can also impact your understanding of the picture book. Again, pictures are very central to the whole experience, and you cannot really understand, and consequently appreciate the whole thing unless you kind of engage with the pictures and try to make them work for you in terms of understanding and unlocking the meanings that the writer intended for us. So as you can see, the tale of Peter Rabbit is replete with themes and ideas. And the more you look into it, the more you read it, the more meanings and the more ideas and insights you come out with. I leave it there, and I would like you to go and dig deep into the tale of Peter Rabbit. Perhaps you need to go to the secondary sources and read them, the articles, read them very thoroughly, and we can let's keep the conversation going, which means that when I meet you next time, and perhaps during the master class, we will revisit the tale of Peter Rabbit. But let's leave it there. Read as much as you can. You also have a chance to read the text itself, because it's a picture book where you don't have hundreds of pages like we have with novels. Okay, read it. Read the primary source, the text itself, and also look at the pictures, and then go to the articles, the secondary source or sources. And let's talk about it next time. Now let's switching gears and move to Voices in the Park, another lovely picture book. Let's set it in time and space. Obviously, time and space are very relevant, and they can tell you a great deal about what happens in the picture book. Um, so, what we have to say, and let's kind of repeat the practice that we started an hour ago. Remember when I told you to kind of refrain to yourself for 3 minutes and try to kind of think of all the ideas that the title triggers at the back of your mind when I say voices in the park. Without filtering, I would like you to write down whatever comes to your mind, and that can take up to 2 minutes. And then you have a minute or two more for coherence, where you put things together and come up with clear statements about what you think the picture book is about. I'll give you those 3 minutes about voices in the park, what comes to your mind when it is mentioned and dropped, and the ideas and the themes that it triggers at the back of your mind. You guys have 3 minutes. Yalla, go ahead. Okay. Can I talk about it? Voices in the park, everyone? Okay. Joyce?
Yeah, doctor. Voices in the Park was written like at the end of the 20th century, like around the 1998. So it's considered a postmodern uh, like
Piece of work.
piece of work, yes. Okay. It's different than the previous story we took or the picture book that we took because we have multiple perspectives. And the plot also doesn't follow like a linear structure. It has like several, the story is told from four different perspectives about the same experience. They had the same experience, which is the walk to the park or the visit to the park, but it's told from different perspectives. We have the mother, the boy, and the father and his daughter. Each of them describes the events in a different way, according to their background, according to their social status, according to their emotional state as well. Like the mom is represented as, like a high society kind of, or high class, who always looked down at people, and she didn't like the fact that her son or dog interacting with other people who are below her level. Also, the way she treated her dog in a different way than she treated her son, Charles. I think his name was Charles, yeah. Um, and also, the story or the whole picture book describes or tackles several themes, like the reverse gender role. We have Charles, who is a boy, so he's supposed to have like the normal characteristics of a boy who's outgoing, who speaks all the time, who initiates the talking and playing and everything like that. But here we have it reversed, where we have Smudge as a girl doing the opposite exactly. Like normally girls are supposed to be quiet, assertive, like they don't speak.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so yes, we have also some features of the postmodern, what do you call it, characteristics also. Like we have multiple perspectives, the open-ended ending, actually, like when you have it's open for interpretation, like what's the message behind this, like the different perspectives, each of them. And also, of course, the colors, how they represent the emotional state for each character. So we have a lot of things here.
Yes. Yeah. We do have a lot of things when it comes to voices in the park. Yeah. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you, Joyce. What else can we talk about when it comes to voices in the park? Can we hear other people? Whatever you guys wrote in your notes. Remember, I gave you 3 long minutes to reflect, to collect your thoughts about it. And I'm sure you came up with something. So share this something with us. What? Why are you silent? Sometimes silence means that you have a lot, and perhaps you want to say a lot, but because of the sheer uh, amount of things that you have in mind, you end up not knowing from where you can start. I appreciate that, of course, because, like I said, voices in the park is different, and it's full of ideas, which is obviously very strange given the fact that it's a very bare minimum kind of narrative where nothing actually happens, where actually it doesn't have the complexity of a novel, for example. It doesn't have the complexity of characters that we're so used to in mainstream novels. Even though it lacks all of that, it is very profound in terms of how the perspectives and the shifting perspectives and in terms of the intertextual endeavors embedded in it. Remember, this is, like Joyce said, this is a postmodern piece of work where most of what we know about postmodernism apply here. We have multiple perspectives. We have non-linearity. We have intertextuality, of course. We have play. Play is a feature of the postmodern. Play on different levels. Playing with words, playing with images, and play as play, where you have two people playing together, right? Again, it's highly symbolic where you need to look in the background and see what kind of season we're talking about, what kind of color the writer is also using. Again, it's also highly anthropomorphic where the characters are all animals and what kind of animals they are. They are, what do we call them? We call them apes? No, trying to say that they have this time around reasons to be animals because there is this close affinity between the writer and the animal world, and especially the gigantic kinds of animals, because they perhaps remind him of his father and his being physically tough and all those kinds of things. So as we have indicated earlier, the picture book is full of ideas, and every idea is a concept that you can expand on, and you're likely to talk about it for hours, given again how profound the text is. Again, initially and on the surface, it's a simple, bare kind of narrative, if we can call it a narrative in the first place. But when you think, when you give it further thought, you can unlock its secrets, you can crack its codes, you can figure out its multiplicity of meanings. Again, we need to set this picture book against the age, against the fact that it is postmodern, where all or perhaps most of the features of the postmodern apply. Again, we're talking about reversal of gender roles. We talk about this idea of intertextuality, like we said. We spoke also about this non-linear kind of narrative. having a multiplicity of narrators, with each giving his or her take on events. Again, it's also about class struggles, and by class, of course, I mean the different classes of society. You have high classes, middle classes, and you have lower classes, and you have this class struggle portrayed and presented in the picture book, where the lady is a representation of a high class, and you have the father and his daughter representing lower classes, and obviously any attempt at reaching out is not met with enthusiasm, and it's left for the young generation to try to kind of bridge this gap between the classes. Whether they have succeeded, and I'm talking about the small kids, is up for grabs, because the picture book ended in an open way, like Joyce said. You can never tell whether this is the end of it or perhaps a new beginning, where um, the gap is now closed between classes. So these are ideas that people are likely to take away from this very small piece of work. So it is small in size, but it is big and profound in terms of meaning and significance. Again, this is typical of picture books, where you you rely on the picture and your interpretation of the picture to have meanings beyond the confines of a text or words and phrases, sentences. That's a lovely piece of work. I remember that we had this in vote at one point, as which of those pieces of work were your favorite, and lots of people were of the opinion that Voices in the Park, of all the other works, stood out or stands out as the most relevant, perhaps, to our experience, the most interesting, sometimes the most intriguing. And when something is intriguing, it's not bad. It provokes you. It makes you ask questions and try to sit out and find out answers to them or for them. Lovely piece of work, and we'll do with it what we did with the other piece of work. I would like you to go and revisit the text, and you still have a chance to read it again, because it's not a novel with hundreds of pages. You still can read it. And I would like you to pay very close attention to the pictures and how they are portrayed. Look at the paratextual information and see how they can inform your understanding of the picture book. Look at the color symbolism. Look at the characters themselves, and the kind of font that they are using in narrating the part of the story. Look at the gender roles and see how traditional or not they are. And then go and read the critical material, read the secondary sources. And then when we meet again on Thursday, we can unlock all those secrets and ideas about the two picture books. So my focus in the upcoming master class would be or will be on the Tale of Peter Rabbit and Voices in the Park. We'll end on this note, and before we end, if you guys have any questions, come to the mic and ask. I don't like it that you're so silent today.
Doctor,
Yeah,
I need to
go
ask you
ahead.
just a question, please. From
Yeah,
previous exams, like in previous terms, normally the Tale of Peter Rabbit and Voices in the Park, usually they come in like a short answer kind of format, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yes.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that's what they told me also from last term, that the second section will be like normally they give us 2 essays about Tom, maybe, and we have to pick one, Tom's Midnight Garden, and then the close reading or the prompt-based question, normally either from the other side of truth or Tom. Is it going to be like this also this term, or it's going to change like the format?
Well, I don't set the questions. Yeah, this is to begin with. But yeah, now normally the practice is the same. But of course, when I'm saying this you need to take it with a grain of salt. Everything can happen. We change the questions. We change, the format is the same, but the questions can be different. The priorities can change too. But the focus normally is on the two heavy-handed novels because we have taken them after, before a little earlier before the midterm and after the midterm, and then Tom is a post-midterm effort. That's only natural that you're going to see them featured very prominently in the final exam. And the other picture books are normally part of the, the short answer questions. I think we'll have time to go over that, to bring in a number of past papers and look at them and see how things are structured, inshallah.
Inshallah, Doctor. No, I asked this question because students tend to skip one of the stories. Like we have to study all the stories, the 4 works. Because
yeah, I don't believe we have invested very heavily on every and each story. And skipping at this stage, to skip one of the stories at your own risk is obviously very risky, right? You know them
definitely, yes.
already. Yeah, but I don't believe that can be the attitude of somebody like you, ya Joyce. MashaAllah, you are on top of things. You don't need to subscribe
No,
to.
I'm not skipping anything,
Yeah.
Doctor, because no, it's a question that a student asked me to ask you. That's why.
No, we shouldn't be skipping it because, yeah, I would like you to compare what we're taking, the load that we're having with the load of EA300A. EA300A is so big and we are so small in terms of the stuff that we're doing in. So,
definitely.
right? So we have, obviously, we're more privileged than them. And we don't end up with the privileges that we have with this course, and we also skip stuff. No, I wouldn't recommend this kind of approach.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor.
You're welcome. طيب يا جماعة. I'll see you on Thursday. So on this note and with this item, we'll come to the end of today's lovely class. Assalamu alaikum. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Walaikum
Doctor.
assalam. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Bye.